All my life Satan tried to get me. Walking my shoes, devil trying to fit me. But he don't know I got the power fit me. Nah, he don't know I got the power. All my life Satan tried to get me. Walking my shoes, devil trying to fit me. But he don't know I got the power fit me. Nah, he don't know I walk the power fit me.
Welcome to the end of the bench. This your man H-Rap coming at you live and direct. Thank you for tuning in. Hit that like, hit that share, hit that like, hit that share, hit that like, hit that share. Thank you for tuning in. This is Build and Destroy, a program where I attempt to build up the community and destroy the lies and propaganda around the community. Thank you for tuning in. If you're watching live on YouTube, thumbs up, like. If you're watching live on Facebook, thumbs up and like. I did not put it on my website because I made a mistake and I have to rebuild my website. 8 years of work right down the drain. So what? Now, with that being said, thank you for tuning in. I give homage to my parents every week. That is Dolores and John. Without them, there is no Build and Destroy. They created me, so I created it. So I must give them praises every single week. It is important that we pay homage to our ancestors. Thank you to my parents. With that being said, it's going to be an interesting program this evening. This evening, I am going to present you with information that will potentially stir you in a direction that will be advantageous to our community. And why I say that? Because we are in a situation to whereas we've been fed propagandized news, and the news isn't advantageous to us. So what I'll do every week is try to put us in the best possible mental space so we can do everything we can to make sure our community is run as well as it can be and put us in a situation so we can help each other. Basically, we're going to plant seeds and those trees will not bloom in our lifetime. Hopefully, they will continue to bloom for our children, our grandchildren, and everybody in our lineage. So we will teach them to plant trees and so forth and so on. Today, this is a hyperbolic title, and it's purposely hyperbolic simply because we must grab attention so we can pull ourselves up and put ourselves in a group. No individual beats a system. I will repeat that. There's no such thing as an individual beating a system. We love people like Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. We love people like Malcolm X. We love a myriad of people from our history, but those individuals will not beat a system. Only thing that beats a system is organization. Organization will allow you to beat any system in place. I've said this countless times on this program, and I want you to understand why I feel that way. When you put Dr. King in the middle of Birmingham, Alabama, to quote the great Kwame Ture, by himself, the Klan attacks him and they will destroy him and they will remove him from the face of the earth. And he will not be able to accomplish the great things that he's accomplished. But you put him, the Southern Christian Leadership, the NAACP, the Urban League, and the millions upon millions of people that got behind him and galvanized. Now you have momentum, and then you move forward and you get Lyndon Baines Johnson to sign the Civil Rights Act of 1985, the Voters' Right 1965, and the Voters' Right Act of 1964. This is how you get things done. At this point, what we have is a bunch of people who, in my opinion, we complain far too much in our community. Again, we complain far too much in our community. Where is that? We have a mobilization. We have reactionary immobilization. What is that? Someone gets killed. Our late brother George Floyd, the young brother Tamir Rice, the young brother Trayvon Martin. They get killed. We galvanize and stand up and we yell and scream behind that. But there's no organization behind that. So when that moment is gone, we don't have the momentum of memory to push ourselves into a situation to where we can improve our community. Today is phase one, potentially, on moving ourselves in a better situation. Look, the title of the show is Be a Republican If You Want To. And I mean every word of that. Be a Republican if you want to. You could be a Republican. You could be a Democrat. You could be an independent. You could be an elk, a Mason, a Muslim, a Christian, a Jehovah's Witness. You could be whatever you want. But at the end of the day, you are of African descent. You are of African descent. You can call yourself color if you like. You can call yourself Afro-American. But you are of African descent. So what is that gonna get us? What we need to do is move with strategy. I'm a Republican, and see, what's the fashionable word today? I'm a conservative. I'm a conservative. Well, newsflash: most Black people in America in 2023, 2024, going back to the beginning of these fictitious parties calling themselves Democrats and Republicans, most of us are conservatives. Most of us are God-fearing. Most of us work hard. Most of us believe in certain principles and that push us in one direction, and it galvanizes the belief system in the community. Most of us are conservatives. Now, the problem that we have with the conservatives as they are presented to us today, those people have racism, hate, and vitriol pointed toward people that don't look like them. That's the difference. When you look at our community, you have a group of people who look like us, who get behind certain principles, and we don't have hate and vitriol. We have love, and we help in abundance. But the conservatives that we see on TV, the Donald J. Trumps, the Christian Cinemas, the Joe Manchins, and so forth and so on, these people are hate-filled, or they're being guided by a misguided sense of values. Point blank, period. So you can put any letter you want in front of your name, but at the end of the day, before, like it's fashionable in my community, in our community, to say, I'm a man first, I'm a woman first. You were Black first, you were brown first, you were part of this African diaspora first. Because when your parents came together, they knew you were going to be a darker hue. So you African American, or you African, or you're Black, or whatever it is, you were that before your gender was even determined because of who your parents were. So seeing how you were that first, what we need to do is come together and have a common bond. What is that common bond? It's fashionable to see people on TV. We're not a monolith. Yes, we are. Again, remember a couple of weeks ago, I did the 12 jewels: freedom, justice, equality, love, peace, and happiness, food, clothing, shelter, love, peace, and happiness. Those are the 12 jewels that we all live by. We all want them. It's not like some of us want that and others don't. That's exactly what we all want. We all want that. We all love our family. So we are a monolith. Now, just like anything else, there are certain things in certain corners of the world, certain corners of this country, border to border, coast to coast, that are needed, and others that are not needed. So your neighborhood may not have a ton of potholes. Your school system may be fully funded. There are certain things that certain communities need and others don't. So that's when we separate. But at the end of the day, those 12 principles are exactly what all of us want. That's what all of us need. And that's what we want for our children, our grandchildren, nieces and nephews, and cousins and neighbors. That's exactly what's going on. Now, you can pick sides and you can join the fight and you can say we want over here and over there. But at the end of the day, what has either one of those parties truly done? When have they addressed our needs? This is why we must have a strategy and organization. And this is why I said, be a Republican if you want, because let's just say most of us have at least 5 people that we can call. And those 5 people have a significant other. So here's the strategy. It's called the Party of Lincoln strategy, created by Warren Karen Hunter. I'll share with you. The Party of Lincoln. The Party of Lincoln is, what we do is we don't join either party. Mentally, fiscally, we don't join either party. But on paper, it's 5 of us. It's 10 couples in total. You and 5 of you join the Republican Party. 5 of you on paper register as Democrats. You will get literature from both parties. At that point, you devise a strategy. You devise a strategy on which party you can manipulate based on what lies that they're telling you. Neither one of these parties are doing anything for us. You know why? Oh man, the Democrats don't. Yes, that's the call of the day. We need to leave the Democrats alone because they don't do anything for us. Right? Right. But here's the thing. We don't ask them for anything because we don't have a strategy behind what we need. How many of you have sat down with 5 or 10 or 20 or 30 of your friends and said, this is what's wrong with our community and this is what needs to be done? So what we do is the strategy. If it's 30 of us, 15 of us register as Republicans. 15 of us register as Democrats. Why do you do that? Why would I register as a Republican? Why would I? I'm already a Democrat. So now you look at their opinions. The Democrats, they're going to send you paperwork on what they plan to do. And you check off boxes. Is this going to benefit my community? Is this going to benefit my community? Is this going to benefit my community? And then you do it the other way. Who's going to benefit your community? Now, on the right, on the left, excuse me, you have the Democrats, and they've been making veiled promises for decades now. But again, since April 4th, 1968, no one has been putting down checks and balances behind that. See, Dr. King understood that there is no one election, because the Democratic Party, they love being hyperbolic and telling our community, this is the most important election of your life. No, it isn't. There's no such thing as the most important election of your life. The reason it's not the most important election of your life, I don't care if Adolf Hitler is running for president. It's not. You know why? Because in 1965, Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. got Lyndon Baines Johnson, then the president, to sign the Civil Rights Act. Before that, the year before that, the Voters' Right Act. That means my mother, 17, 18 years old at the time, and she has more voting rights than my daughter in 2023. When Dr. King died in 1968, 56 years ago, 56 years ago, my mother had more voting rights than I have currently. So that means every election for the rest of your life is the most important election. See, what we do is worry about things in 4, 6, and 2 year intervals. Now, 2 years, every 2 years, your state representative is reelected. Every 4 years, your governor, your mayor, and other people are reelected. And every 6 years, your U.S. senator is reelected. No, we need to be thinking about the next 60 elections, the next 60 election cycles. Why will we be looking at for the next 60? Because in 1972, women were granted total autonomy over their bodies. Listen to that. They were granted total autonomy over their body. How can someone ever have autonomy over your body? And what I mean by that, this is when Roe versus Wade went through, when women could get an abortion. You could terminate a pregnancy at your will. This is 2 years before that women could get credit cards in their names and checking accounts on their name without their husband's signature. Listen to this. This is the world we live in. Here we are. These same people who fought that and lost that battle, they've been fighting for 52 years. For 52 years to take over women's body, and they just successfully did it. These people are not thinking of 2, 4, and 6 year increments. They're thinking 10 years down the line. They're thinking 20 years down the line. They're thinking 50 years down the line. They lost the fight. They did what is called, they lost the fight against Barack Obama back-to-back years. They did an autopsy, and then they doubled down on that evil. I told you guys, these people never change their ideology. They never do. Evil never sleeps. And if you want to take it to a spiritual realm, the devil never takes a day off. And it's the same plan to rape, pillage, kill, rob, and steal everything that you have. But we keep thinking in 4 years, and this is the most important election of my life. Every year until this world stops spinning, until something happens that is unusual. Every election. I don't care if they're voting for the dog catcher. You need to be out there voting for the dude who you want to be the dog catcher. But we're not doing that. We're listening to people who do absolutely nothing for us. And you can call it the Democratic Party, you can call it the Republican Party. I had a person reach out to me and say, hey, it ain't like it was in the 60s. Yes, it is. It's like it was in the 1860s, because you have a group of people pretending to have your back, and they don't do anything to support you or anything you believe in. You know why? Because we argue with each other more than we argue with them. Again, how many times have you sat down with your friends and family members and said, this is what our community needs. This is what the people around us need. This is what the school needs. We're not doing that because we wait for people to tell us, this is the one. It's been the one. It was the one 4 years ago. It was the one 8 years ago. It was the one 16 years ago. It was the one at the beginning of the turn of the century when George W. Bush was it was the one. It was the one. It was the one. And every time it's the one, we end up losing, and then we end up losing more and more of our God-given inalienable rights. We continue to do it every election. At what point will you realize that we need 60 people in the U.S. Senate that think like us, that have our interest in mind? At what point will you realize that? At what point? See, this is basic civics. So you can have a D or you can have an R. You can pick a struggle. No one has our back. None of them. You know who has our back? We do. You think Dr. King cared if Lyndon Baines Johnson was a Democrat or Republican? No, he didn't. He did not. He didn't care. You think when Malcolm X made that speech, the Ballad of the Bullet, do you think he thought that? No. Do you think Huey P. Newton and the Black Panther Party or the people at SNCC or anybody in the history of our fight ever cared about a Democrat or a Republican? Oh man, in the early years, the Republicans had our back. See, Lincoln was a Republican, and Lincoln hated Black people more than you'll ever know. Lincoln was a separatist. Lincoln was a white nationalist and a white supremacist, and nobody talks about that. So the Republican Party has never had our back, and the Democratic Party has never had our back. They went from Democrats to Dixiecrats to Republicans, and the Democrats went from Democrats to Republicans. And guess what? It's the dog chasing its tail, because no one actually gives a damn about the Black community but people in this community. Point blank. Period. End of story. So you can go, this is the most important election. There is no most. Every one of them. Whether you're here in Chicago, whether you're in LA with the sister, if you're in Atlanta with the sister down, with the brother down there, if you're in New York with the brother, all of them. Because if you don't start looking up, if you don't start going to this app, what is it called? The 5 Calls app or the Politicking app. 5 Calls app. I'll say it slowly. It's an app called 5 Calls. So you can get in contact with 5 people that control your city, that are in your district. You put your zip code in, and it'll pull 5 people that are important to you. Your U.S. Senator, state representative, your alderman, the person who controls your community, city council, and mayor, or the governor, or whichever 5 you pick, giving you phone number so you can make phone calls. How many of us are making these phone calls? You roll over a pothole if you weave around a pothole more than 3 days, you're wasting your time because you need to be on the phone asking why in the entire hell is it my street tore up, but they taking money. If I go buy a soda or a pop, whatever you want to call it, if I buy something to wear, something to put on my feet, it's taxes being taken out, but we're not making those phone calls. Or you can go to an app called Politicking. This shows you the voting records of everybody. See, what we need to do is mimic what the enemy is doing. And I don't mean lie, cheat, and steal from anybody. What they do is see something wrong, and then they create committees, and they organize, and then they attack our rights. How can we mimic that? Look, about, 16 years ago. This dude named Barack Hussein Obama was running for office. And what did they do? He won, and they created the Tea Party. And they infiltrated the Republican Party, and they forced the Republicans to do things. You know why? Because the Tea Party understood what the Republicans' plans was, and they understood the shortcomings of the Democratic Party. So they created their own thing, and they forced people to come to them. So you can have an R by your name, or you can have a D by your name, but what are you really going to accomplish? You're not going to really accomplish anything because you're not forcing their hand. We're not forcing their hand to do anything. All we're doing is putting people in place to have jobs better than most of us will ever have in our life, and they'll have lifetime pensions, and they go on to have speaking engagements to be richer than they ever will be. John Boehner used to be anti-marijuana until they legalized marijuana. Then he stepped down from the Speaker of the House. And what did he do? He started investing in marijuana. And now John Boehner is on his way to being a billionaire. This is what we're falling for. So why don't we create our own situation? And we can do it in pods. We don't have to create the Black Panther Party of Self-Defense, the Student Nonviolent Committee Coalition. We don't have to have the Southern Christian Coalition. We don't have to do that. What we can do is be in Minnesota, be in Louisiana, be in Texas, be in Los Angeles, be in Chicago, be in Milwaukee, be in Wisconsin, be in Ohio, be in Indiana, and have groups of us. And we say, we are not going to do this anymore. We're going to do everything we can to get these taken care of. Or we can just continue to complain, continue to point the finger, and then we can continue to be at the end of the lash that we've been upon for over 400 years. This is what we can do. But hey, all I'm doing is this. I'm saying this. You register as a Republican. Let's just say the state of New York. In New York, when you register, you can only vote for that person in your primary. So black folks, when you see a very strong candidate in the Republican Party, if all the black folks registered as Republicans and primary the weakest person in their party, let's just say I'm running in the Republican thing, and you know, H-Rap, he don't know nothing. He's the biggest dummy they have. We primary him. We make H-Rap their number one candidate. And then we go vote for our guy on the other end, because when you pick the biggest dummy they can find, they're not even going to support that dummy. And then we go put the person in, and then we actually vote for the people we want on our side. So, in other words, you got H-Rap on this side. He's the Republican candidate. He is the biggest zip fool you can find. No one's going to support him. He doesn't stand for anything, and his principles are bad. But then you had this dude named Brian, and he's a Democrat. Nobody knows who he is. We're going to put all our energy in getting the dummy to run against Brian. The dummy versus Brian, and then when election day comes, while we're still registered as Republicans, we go vote for the Democrat or the independent that we want. See, it's going to be hard to take over a party because they have more finances. But if we do just like we did here in Chicago, Illinois, with the Democratic Party, nobody saw Brandon Johnson coming. Nobody thought Brandon Johnson would win. But the black people in the city of Chicago said, we're going to put another one of our people in. So we can do that nationwide, folks. We can do that nationwide. See, these titles they give us, all that means is we are telling them how to treat us. But if we only reason they want us in the Republican Party so they can secure the win. But if we go over there, then they will relax. They'll tell the truth right in front of you. They'll stand in front of the world, just like Donald Trump did with the black conservatives this weekend. And he will open his mouth and stick his entire leg, forget his foot. He will stick his entire leg in his mouth, and he'll tell you exactly who he is. So we go, oh, that's not what we're dealing with. We already knew what he was. Now, they on the other side, the Democratic Party, they'll run at us and they'll make promises and they'll beg because they're trying to get us back. We're not ever going to join. We're not going to join the other fight. But we must make, just like when you're just, ladies can definitely affiliate themselves with what I'm about to say. How many times have you been thinking, I'm about to leave this dude, and all of a sudden the house is clean, and all of a sudden he's not hanging out with his friends as much, and all of a sudden he's buying you unnecessary, buying things that you've been asking him to buy for years because he knows you're on the way out the door. So guess what? If we take our business and make it look as if we're walking on the other side, all of a sudden the people who've been making promises to us since 1965, they are going to have to stand up and do instead of make promises. They're going to have to stand up and sign into law. Forget a bill, forget an act, sign into law that the 14th Amendment that grants you citizenship. That's what they're trying to take away. They're trying to remove the 14th Amendment. They're trying to make it so birthrights in the United States, meaning if I'm born here, I'm a citizen. They're trying to remove that. That's part of the 14th Amendment. They can't do away with it. They can suspend it, though, because it's a law. So what we have to do is understand civics. So maybe that's one of the things you sit around and talk with your friends. While you have the Moms of Liberty removing books, why don't we start adding things? Because see, they're focused on removing. And then we start focusing on adding funding for after-school projects, adding funding for civics classes. See, they remove civics from our institutions so our children will understand how important voting is. See, we get caught up in the D's and the R's, and Donald Trump is out to get us. They all are out to get us. The difference is, to quote Malcolm X, The Republican Party are wolves. The Democratic Party are foxes. They're both their goal is to get the lamb on their plate. So if both parties are attempting to get the lamb on their plate, why are we even attempting to side with either party? We create our own thing, and when you create your own thing, people will come to you. You don't agree, you don't believe me, or you doubt what I'm saying, we can look at our brother Tyler Perry. Tyler Perry created an industry, and if you watch his documentary, nobody even saw him coming. He's doing those plays, nobody cares. And then he made a movie, and the black women of America went and supported that movie. Like it became the #1 movie, and they were like, who is this guy? Next thing you know, make a long story short, a short story shorter, Tyler Perry is getting $8, $10, $12 million to make an appearance in Star Wars, to make an appearance in Star Trek, because they knew if Tyler Perry's there, Black Eyes will go there. And if Black Eyes goes there, we'll get money. So what we do is recreate the Tea Party, because we see what they did. Why do you think Rafael Cruz down there in Texas got that senatorial position? Because he's a Tea Party candidate, which is aligned with the Republican Party, but he's still Tea Party. I may agree with you guys, but let's not forget I'm not with y'all. So we create our own situation and make it adjacent to any party. So they come to us and make us promises. And because we're engaging every single solitary election in alarming numbers, they come to us, make us promises, and we get what we. You want to take the word slave out of books? No. We're going to put it in there. Or we don't want to hurt our children's feelings. I don't care about your children's feelings. You want that job, you're going to refund our programs. Or y'all gave $100 billion to the Ukraine. Well, what you need to do is this. While you're giving $100 billion to Ukraine, what you need to do is fund this 100 schools in Chicago that were shut down. You gave $74 million to move these people from the state of Texas, and another 74 to move them from the state of Florida and move them to Massachusetts, New York, and Illinois, and other states, sanctuary states. We're going to need you to take that $74 million and put it into housing. So the 82% unhoused people in Chicago are black men. We're going to help you. We're going to need you to help some of these black men get some place to stay. See, these are the things we need jobs. No, we don't. We need training. Like a lot of these brothers don't have skills like being a carpenter. They don't have skills like being a electrician. You think technology is king? No, it's not. You know what's king? Electricity. You know what? There's a void in electricians today. So if we train our children to be electricians, guess what? Technology is king. If you heat up your cell phone, it will cut off. So the person that's doing heating and air conditioning, he or she is invaluable. It is no number that will equate to the value of that person. So that's what we need to get our children trained in those. It's great to have your child walk across the stage. You know what's even better? To have your child making $250,000 a year for a 45-minute job on a daily basis. And his back isn't aching. He's not tired. He or she is not tired, and they're not overworked. And people are kissing their butts. Yeah, hey, you want your child to have a college education? That's great. But do you want your child to be able to take care of himself and themselves into perpetuity? That's what we want. We really want our children to be living better lives than we ever dreamed for ourselves. But that's how we get it done. See, we don't have to play that game, and we don't have to. Oh man, Donald Trump is no good for us. Duh. Donald Trump has been sued by the Department of Justice for saying, and I quote, in 1992, black people are lazy. But y'all telling me he might be a better option. They can't help it. It's just inherent. I would rather have a Jew count my money. This is what Donald Trump said. He was sued by that same Department of Justice in the late 70s for not allowing black people to move into his properties. But what we do is you have some of the bourgeoisie, the black bourgeoisie say, well, I wouldn't want a lot of those hood people move. See, you justify your own oppression. You justify your oppression. And then you say, oh, well, see, you have to understand. I don't have to understand why somebody's trying to destroy me. The same people. This dude's father was caught at a Klan rally. Guess what? My father died at a Black Panther rally. Look at what I'm talking about. So if my father's at a Black Panther rally, and I'm talking about black empowerment, it's safe to say if his father's at a Klan rally, what he's talking about in private or in public or wherever he is. And guess what? I ain't even meet my father. My father died 4 months before I was born. So I'm genetically predisposed to do this. And maybe, just maybe, he is as well. But y'all actually having debates on this. We're actually having debates on if these people have our best interest in mind. No, we shouldn't have to. We shouldn't have these debates. I keep telling y'all, we need to be being firemen. We need to be being electricians. We need to be heating and air conditioning. We need to have black roofers. We need to have black people into real estate. We need to have black attorneys. We need to have black doctors. We need to have black everything. But see, we keep trying to be part of the melting pot. Well, guess what? We need to get our own pot and meld ourselves into it instead of talking about foundational black Americans. I'm not African. And then look, same dude that say, I'm not African, he'll the next thing out of his mouth. We kings and queens. Really? Really? What from where? Name some. Oh, it's the kings of Africa. Again, as I said. So you African when it's convenient. Knock it off. Look, if you want to separate yourself, I want you to understand this. The difference, the pure difference in you and someone from Jamaica, someone from Haiti, someone from the Bahamas, someone from Barbados, someone from Aruba, if somebody stood on the shore of Cuba and said, send them over there, send them over there. That's the only difference in you and those people. So we can play the game. We can, oh man, I hate the police. You hate the police? Well, go be one. The easiest way to stop somebody from hitting you in your head is to get part of that. Oh man, we're gonna change it from the inside. Nah, you can become a police officer. Let's just say you live on the west side. You can become a police officer and police on the west side of Chicago. And then you invite your friends just like they do. That's how the Irish got control of it, because hey, it used to be no niggas, no dogs, no Italians, no Irish. There should be signs to say that. Irish people didn't become white officially until 1977. But you didn't know that because they don't teach it in the school. This is why the daughters of Confederate and moms for liberty, they're trying to get those things out of books so you don't know it. So if they did it, why can't we? I ain't finna be no cop, man. The cops and robbers, I want to be the cop. I want to be the robber. Okay, that means you want to go to jail. Or I know some cops are doing pretty good. I mean, these people crazy. Well, guess what? Maybe we need to stop trying to get our kids after they get in trouble and get some of that funding and talk to Danny Davis and LaShawn K. Ford and Walter Burnett and Mayor Johnson and get some funding before our children get in trouble. And then we ain't got to worry about those things. Look, are we going to have wayward children? Of course we will. This is the way of the world. If you believe in God, then the Bible starts off with one dude going wayward and killing his brother. So wayward people are part of the situation. But we can reduce the number. We can stop playing this DNR game. And we can just play this US game and not the United States, us. Maybe we need to start a we party. The goal is to make our children as comfortable as possible. The goal is the story about this old man walking through a field, planting seeds. And somebody said, hey man, you're not going to see the trees that those seeds will produce. And he said, you're not going to ever be able to sit and get shade up under there. You 80 years old. He said, yeah, but I'm just doing what somebody did for me. I'm planting trees for my grandchildren's grandchildren. Are we planting seeds for our grandchildren's grandchildren? I don't think we are. We do a lot of complaining. We do a lot of waiting on Dr. King. Well, see, Jesse Jackson ain't done more than you. Al Sharpton ain't more than you. This guy ain't more than you. Or you can stop complaining and go do it. See, I ain't joining no group. I'm not joining any of those groups. But it was a group that I was born into. And I can't get out of it. I wouldn't want to get out of it if I could. With that being said, as y'all know, every week I do some health and wellness on this program. This week, I'm going to do some stuff about yoga. I'm going to play this video about yoga, and then I'm going to talk to you about history and why you cannot trust these people because they keep trying to erase history. You erase my history, you're going to erase a portion of me. You erase a portion of me. I don't want to be bothered with you. This is H-Rap. This is Building the Story. I'll be back shortly.
Yoga gains more and more popularity every year. For many, yoga is an ideal way to heal the organism, make the body more perfect, and acquire harmony with oneself and the world around. In this video, I'll tell you what will happen to your body if you do yoga every day. So watch the video till the end, it will be interesting. Let's go! Yoga is not just a set of exercises that improves health. Yoga is a special way of life that allows you to achieve harmony in the physical and psychological state, to find new potential and hidden possibilities of the body. The essence of yoga is not limited to physical training. It is aimed at working with the human mind and includes methods of spiritual development and self-improvement. Scientific studies confirm the therapeutic effect of yoga. It has been proven that systematic yoga classes have a beneficial effect on all organs and systems. Yoga improves posture and the condition of the spine. Due to the elimination of spinal deformity, rises hormonal levels. Yoga classes improve the functioning of the pancreas and thyroid glands, eliminates disorders in the genital area. Yoga develops flexibility and plasticity, increases the elasticity of ligaments and tendons, relieves tension from the muscles. Yoga normalizes the functioning of the cardiovascular system. Deep breathing provides additional oxygen to the internal organs and stabilizes the heartbeat. Yoga improves immunity. Contraction and stretching of the muscles stimulate the movement of lymph in the body, which makes it easier to cope with infections, prevents the formation of cancer cells. Yoga burns fat and improves appearance. Yoga straightens the muscular corset of the whole body, speeds up metabolism, improves the functioning of the gastrointestinal tract. The complex effect of yoga on the body leads to weight loss. Most yoga asanas are static exercises that involve the utmost tension of all muscles, including those located in the deep layers. Their stimulation leads to active fat burning. In addition, when exercising, the level of cortisol, the stress hormone that provokes the deposition of excess fat in the abdomen, decreases. Dynamic and power yoga classes combined with breathing techniques improve metabolism and speed up the process of losing weight, helping to fix the effect for a long time. For the women body, yoga is useful because it normalizes the menstrual cycle, alleviates premenstrual syndrome, menopause symptoms, relieves migraine, reduces pain and frequency of attacks, increases libido, reduces menstrual pain. Regular yoga also has a positive effect on men's health. Many poses stimulate the prostate, increase blood circulation in the pelvic organs, which is positively reflected in potency. Yoga stimulates the adrenal glands and testicles, increasing testosterone production. The beneficial properties of yoga for the body are not limited to this. Unlike fitness training, designed to improve the body and improve health, yoga helps to find peace of mind. Often, yoga is used to treat patients with mental disorders, major depression, and insomnia. Asanas and meditation help to relax, believe in yourself, relieve feelings of anxiety, fear, and anger. When practicing yoga, there are several things to keep in mind. First, during practice, it is important to constantly control the breath. Breathe deeply and slowly through your nose. Inhale and exhale should be equal in time. The essence of yoga is awareness and control of the breath. Second, disconnect from extraneous thoughts. Focus on internal sensations. In case of inconvenience, pain in joints or back, it's necessary to stop exercise. Third, don't overexert yourself. Muscles during yoga should be tense as much as it requires to keep the body in balance. Fourth, you need to train on an empty stomach. You can eat after 20 to 30 minutes. Fifth, the optimal yoga time for beginners is 20 minutes. Gradually increase its duration to 60 minutes. Duration is of secondary importance. It is important to perform the exercise with high quality and breathe correctly. 6. You can train every day or every other day, as far as time and desire allow. 7th, the best time to practice is in the morning. Experienced yoga masters practice in the morning 2 hours before sunrise, but day or evening practice will bring no less benefit to the body. The regularity of classes is much more important than the time of day. By the way, friends, be sure to watch other videos on this channel. Links are on the screen right now. See you soon.
Colgate Total keeps...
Nah, none of that. This is your man H-Rap coming at you live and direct. Thank you for tuning in. If you are not subscribed, please go to YouTube and subscribe to theinternetbench.com, TheInternetBench Media. Thank you. Allow me to continue to talk to you about what's going on in this country. What's going on in this country is we are at an apex point. You know, we are at an inflex point. An inflex point is like saying we've come into a fork in the road. That fork in the road, what it provides is the ability to determine which direction we're going to go. We can go down the same road that we've been going down for the last 56 years. You know, since we lost the guidance of a lot of these civil rights guys, and we haven't had the focus, and we've been waiting on somebody to show up and save the day. Well, that person is you. That person is you. Stop waiting on somebody else to do it. You ain't gonna wait for nobody to feed your kids. You're not gonna wait for somebody to wash your butt. You're not gonna wait for somebody to clean your house. Well, this community is our house. Our children are our future. Everything that we believe in is up to us to get it done. Therefore, what we need to do is realize how they're attempting to systematically tear down our community brick by brick. People like Karen Hunter and Larry Daniel Favors and Clay Kane and others, the late great Joe Madison and myself, we're trying to build it up one brick at a time. And they're trying to remove those bricks systematically. Now, as I told you earlier in the broadcast, individuals don't break systems. Organizations break systems. And this is why you have Moms for Liberty, and they're removing books from our schools. They want to remove history. And when you remove history, you remove actual people. If you remove actual people, you remove their accomplishments. And when you remove their accomplishments, then you won't know how great you are. You are a sum total of every single individual in the history of your lineage. Everybody is in there. The good and the bad. We've been taught to focus on the bad. See, you can't trust the brother. You can't trust the sister. Ain't no good men. Ain't no good women, because you've had bad interactions with the opposite sex. This is the most juvenile and infantile way of thinking in the history of our community. Are there poor people, people of poor character in our community? Indeed, there are. A lot of us have interacted with those people. But if you stop and realize you have come in contact with far more good people in this community than poor people. But the thing is, a good person, a pat on the back, it feels good until that person removes their hand. You don't traditionally carry that. Now, if I slap you, it stings and it pops in your head. Anytime you hear something, if somebody comes towards you, it is a trauma that comes along if they slap in the face. That's why we have been trained to focus on the poor versus the rich. We focus on the one Dr. King versus focusing on that teacher, 1st through 8th grade, that high school teacher, counselor, coach, the people in your neighborhood, all those people that you've come in contact with, that were good people. That person that held the door for you, that person that walked past you and smiled and said hello. We don't focus on them. We talk about the people that do, or that woman that may look like they're going to rob you, or that person that was acting a fool with you in public. We tend to focus on that because that is a traumatic experience that we have been, it is genetically predisposed to hold on to that trauma. It is a thing called Pavlov's dog. When you are put enough trauma into people, that trauma will be inculcated into their way of thinking, and it's going to take hell and high water to get rid of it. But we don't know these things. Because guess what? They're removing these things. When you read about a great champion like a Fannie Lou Hamer, who was beat to a pulp and still taught herself how to read, taught herself how to pass the aptitude test, and was able to vote. If she can do that in the 60s, why can't you do something of that nature now? We don't know about other people who sat down on the bus. We don't know about Black inventors. We don't know about these things because these things are not put in front of us. You know what's put in front of us? We keep talking about the Trayvon Martin. We keep talking about the Tamir Rice. We keep talking about the brutality that the police inflict upon us. What about your cousin who's a cop? What about your friend who's a cop? What about your uncle who's a cop? A lot of us have those things, but we don't talk about those people. We just talk about the poor people. The one apple spoiled the bunch. I hate the police. I've been attacked by the police. I got police people who are my friends. I'm not going to sit around and hate the police, but we've been trained to do that, and we use that same traumatic training to perpetuate lies. Speaking of perpetuating a lie, it's this lady running for president. Her name is Nimrata Haley. She attempts to make herself white adjacent by changing her name to Nikki Haley. But if you find out that she's Nimrata Haley, you'll find out that she's an Indian American, and then you may not vote for her. She's not she's just a white facing person. She is a person who's pretending to be. She's facing to be a Caucasian. This is the same person who used to be the governor of the state of Carolina. The state of Carolina is a very important state in the United States of America. Most of us don't think about South Carolina being one of the most important states in these United States. She says, and I quote, "Race isn't a problem. This isn't a racist country." Now, this is a woman. This is a woman who used to be the governor of the state of South Carolina. This is a woman who fought to keep the Confederate flag flying over the state capitol building. The building that she went to work at, they had a Confederate flag. Oh, that's about history and tradition. This isn't about race. Well, the thing about the state of Carolina, South Carolina, is this. This is where the first shot in the Civil War was taken. This is the first state to rescind from the Union. And they said, we're doing it because we want to keep slavery. We want to keep slavery. But she don't want to talk about race. This isn't a racist situation, but you used to govern a state that the battle flag of the Confederate flies over the Capitol. That's what you used to do. But it's not about race. Your parents, your mother used to only be able to sell to Black people. But it's not about race. Your father could only get a job at a HBCU, but it's not about race. Your parents were rented a home and they told you can stay here as long as you don't invite Black people over your house. But this has never been a racist country. These are the things that these people try to inflict upon us. We don't want to hurt our children's feelings. But how hurt would your children be when they found out your grandmother was run away from her land? When they found out your great uncle was hung for no reason at all? You know what? Here's a fun fact. The Frank Lucas American Gangster story. You know why? He's from South Carolina. You know how he ended up in North Carolina? Because the Klan came to his house, shoved a rifle in his cousin's mouth, knocking out his teeth, and then pulled the trigger and shot his brain out of his head. He then went to New York. But see, we don't want to talk about those things because those things will focus you. Those things focus you, then they put you in a better situation. They put you in a better mental space to understand that you're behind enemy lines and you are in a fight. How about this? Another fun fact about the great state of South Carolina. The great state of South Carolina, 40% of Black people in this country come from that one state. It has been documented. 40%. That means most of us come from that one state because they were importing our ancestors in there at an alarming rate. Do you know before the 1930s, when they started giving away land grants to Caucasian Americans, there were more Black people in that state than white people? And then we started spreading out because guess what? Those people forced us out. See, if you learn these things, then you understand these things. When you understand these things, you'll embrace these things, and then you'll move forward with a different state of mind. We can no longer sit around and wait on things to happen. We can no longer sit around and hope things happen. We can only do what we have to do. This is what I want you to understand. When you have people talking about it's not that, it's this. Anybody ever heard of Brown versus Board of Education? That is not the true thing. Brown versus the Board of Education, it is actually Briggs versus Elliott. Guess what? Briggs versus Elliott started by one Thurgood Marshall, former Supreme Court Justice, started in the great state of South Carolina. These are the things, when you find out these things, you understand these things. You understand these things, you build upon these things. When you build upon these things, you give yourself strength. When you give yourself strength and pride and stick-to-itiveness and will, you understand nothing can stop you unless you allow it. But we're not doing that because we keep trying to fit our square peg into a round hole. Our square peg into a round hole. It does not work that way. It will not work that way, and it cannot work that way. I want you to understand what these people are attempting to do. They're trying to strip you of that pride, strip you of that will, strip you of that knowledge, because then you don't have a basis. Knowledge is the base, and then you get deprived from knowing, infiltrating that knowledge, and then you build upon that. If you don't have the knowledge, then where's the pride gonna come? Where's the pride gonna come? Oh, I don't need to worry about that because I live in 2025 or 2026 or 2027. But when you are stripped down to a non-citizen, because if they suspend that 14th Amendment, then you're no longer a citizen, and then you could be deported to God knows where. And then what do you do? Again, this is why there's no such thing as this is the most important election possible. Every one of them, as long as there's breath in anybody in the history of this earth, or as long as this crime scene called a country is in existence, every election is the most important election, because they continue to strip down each and every right that you were born with until you can start to say, okay, we're on our way when we get 60 U.S. senators thinking the way we think, when you can get 270 state U.S. representatives thinking the way we think. Then we can go, okay, now we can start something else. Not stop. We can start. See, we keep saying pass the baton. No. Or light his torch. No. You don't pass the baton. You have a torch. He has a torch. You keep your torch lit. You light the next torch. It's still light on this end, and you take light to another place. That's all we can ever do. That's all we can ever do. And if anybody, like, we don't have a lot of people to say, man, but the Republican Party, they may. They may. But all you have to do is go to Newsweek or USA Today and look up this article. July 14th, 2022. The GOP shoots down a probe to investigate neo-Nazis in the military. They shoot down a probe to check out the neo-Nazis in the military. The military police are infiltrated with neo-Nazis, new Nazis, hate group, the new Nazis. Why did they shoot that down? They shot it down almost unanimously. House of Representatives, they did that. They shot down a probe to investigate. They don't even want to investigate what is actually true. Even never mind in 1992, the United States, the FBI, the Federal Bureau of Investigation, documented and put it out and published it that the United States military is being overrun by neo-Nazis and hate groups. And then you wonder why these people are training people to come into churches and go into nightclubs and go into grocery stores to hurt people. And then you wonder where all this is coming from. They also shot down a probe to investigate hate groups in Buffalo a couple years ago when that grocery store got shut up. Nobody talks about that. Nobody talks about that. Because, hey, man, you never know. Trump, he gave us a stimulus check. No president in the history, again, this is where civics comes in. No president in the history of the world has ever given anybody a stimulus. Now, what happens is those people in the House of Representatives and those people in the Senate agree to give you some of your money back. And the president who's sitting there, he just goes along to get along. And then you get a jerk like this guy who says, wait a minute, I'm thinking about it, until it's time to put his name on a check, and it looks like this guy, Donald J. Trump, gave you a stimulus check. And then you have people like Sexy Red, and you have people like Kanye West, you have people like Steve Harvey, and you have people like Snoop Dogg, and you have people like Ice Cube say, hey, well, he might be a better alternative. There's no time in the history of this world where people who have displayed hate for you and your people could possibly, potentially, and even come close to being the best option for you. Do you want to get hit in the face, or do you want to get kicked in the head? I don't want to get hit or kicked. But we continue to this is the problem. The late great Malik El-Haj Shabazz, you know him as Malcolm X. This is what he said. This is why we're the only group where celebrities, no disrespect to our great ancestor Lena Horne, no disrespect to the great ancestor Jackie Roosevelt Robinson, because he actually didn't like to be called Jackie. His name is Jack Roosevelt Robinson. Jack Robinson and Dick Gregory and others, even though they were well-versed and astute, they should have allowed the people who are in charge to do those things, the people who prepared themselves, the Alan Clayton Powells of the world, the Huey P. Newtons of the world, the Dr. Huey P. Newtons of the world, the educated Fred Hamptons of the world, the people who have immersed themselves, the H. Rap Browns, the then Stokely Carmichael, now to Kwame Torres of the world, the people who immerse themselves in academics, study so they can get these things done. The Baynut Rusters, the Whitney Youngs, those people, the Shirley Chisholms of the world, those people who taken on the task of doing that. But we are listening to rappers. We're listening to basketball players. We're listening to comedians about how to fix our communities. Hey, newsflash, if you really want to fix our community, you guys can get together and create things, nation, city to city, state to state, because you have the cachet to do it, and then we'll support it. We've done it. We've made Tyler Perry a billionaire. Why wouldn't we make you one as well? But that's neither here nor there. I will end this by saying this. If you really want to do what's best for the community, what you do is this. Play a part. Get involved. Get into it. Make sure the people in your community are as educated as you are. Don't make proclamations without doing the substantive study. Take insane notes, arduous notes. That's what you need to be doing. Research, do the work, share with your friends. Come together on more than the Super Bowl Sunday, the NCAA tournament, the end of the wire, the end of Snowfall, the end of 50 Cent shows. Come together, and if you're going to come together on those, well, when the show ends, let's talk about this. These are the things that are necessary. We must come together, galvanize, and put ourselves in the situation to whereas our grandchildren's children are prepared. When they get here, they know the game plan is this. With that being said, I want to thank each and every one of you for tuning in. If you haven't hit that thumbs up, if you haven't shared, if you haven't, go to right here and subscribe. If you haven't already done it, if you've done it, thank you very much. It is greatly appreciated. If you have not, I need you to do this. Go to the End of the Bench Media, subscribe on YouTube. Do not go to www.theendofthebench.com. I have to rebuild my website. I don't know how I blew it, but I blew it. And guess what? It's going to be even better. I want to thank the people who I get inspiration from. That is Willie D. That is Talil Kweli. That is Sway Calloway, Roland Martin, Al Sharpton, Heather B., Clay Kane, my personal favorite, Marie Daniel Favors, and her husband, Brian Favors, Dr. Greg Carr, and the Dean, Professor Karen Hunter. I want to thank each and every one of you in the chat room. I usually salute you as you come in. I wasn't able to do that because I was on the roll. I see new faces. Thank you guys for being new faces. Tomorrow night, I will be on Hold My Beer, me and Big Mo. We're going to slap around a couple of people. I need you to subscribe. Because I'm the greatest show in the world. Math Hoffa in the building. Thank you guys for tuning in. I have Bible study to tend to. I am H-Rap B. This is Build and Destroy, and all I want you to do is understand. If you don't like my people and don't like what I say,
you better shut your white mouth. I'm not kidding you.
And if you want to stand up and do something about it,
sit your ass down. Sit your ass down.
For that matter, I just need my man Big Mo. 2 fingers, 1 word. This H-Rap, and I'm out.
We lust for that cheese, we lose sleep, dreams of that cream. We killing our teens, they dying for this American dream. Them government schemes, they turning us to hustlers and fiends. We hustling trees, them politicians smuggling green. Chasing that cheese, got everybody stressed in the streets. Pardon me for speaking freely, let it breathe. Evangelists preach the congregations out of their seats. They writing them checks for tithes, now it's people can't eat. She stripping for change for school, now she giving them brain. She used to that loot, she earning, now she giving them strain. He new to this game, but hungry, so he cooking his cane. He getting that paper, but then they gave him 2 to the brain. It's rules to this game, but hustlers never hustle for fame. The spirit of greed is grimy, so we struggle to change. They put us in chains to take away our African names. But if we submissive and don't resist, then who do we blame? It's all a game, man. These Europeans thinking they claim, and you a victim of the game plan. You thinking they ain't, you thinking they saints. Remember all them niggas they hang? Killed our women and our children, all our leaders is slain. They gave us Obama, but that nigga was hoping for change. But Zimmerman is killing niggas and he free. Shit is crazy, babies having these babies and getting checked. But keep the child from they pop to rip his heart out his chest. Our rappers was leaders and now they in the booth and the dress. Spitting bullshit and making more but giving us less. They taking our sound and changing ours, dumbing it down. They taking our jobs and homes and they shutting us out. They taking our kids because it ain't a man in the house. They locking us down, but soon they gon' be wiping us out. They told our women they was too independent to need a man. They told our brother he was too insignificant to advance. It's all a game, man. These Europeans staking they claim. And you a victim of their game plan. You thinking they ain't. You thinking they saints. Remember all them niggas they hang? Killed our women and our children. All our leaders is slain. It's all a game.